Shabbat Shalom. I'm Cantor David Proser from Kempsville Conservative Synagogue, Kehillat Bet HaMidrash in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And this is our Torah portion commentary for the Shabbat of April 10th, 2021, corresponding to the Hebrew date of the 28th day of Nisan, 5781. We thank Rabbi Joseph Prauser, Rabbi Adam Rosenbaum, Rabbi Joyce Newmark, Rabbi Mordechai Silverstein, and the United Synagogue Torah Spark series for their various teachings and publications on this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, Shemini, as its name implies, describes what occurred on the 8th and final day of the ordination ceremony of the Mishkan and its priests. It begins on page 630 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 443 of the Hertz. Moshe teaches Aharon, Aharon's sons, and the Israelites about the consecration rituals. The altar was used for the first time by the newly ordained priests. Aharon offers his own purification offering and burnt offering and an offering of well-being on behalf of the people. Moshe and Aharon together bless the assembled Israelites. The people respond with shouts of joy to the divine fire that comes forth and consumes the offering on the altar, signifying that the sacrifices have been accepted. Following this auspicious beginning, tragedy strikes. Aharon's sons, Nadav and Avihu, offer ill-defined and ill-advised alien fire upon the altar that God had not commanded. They are consumed in divine fire, a malignant counterpoint of the earlier fire that had consumed the first sacrifices as an indicator of God's favor and approval. Moshe offers a brief, somewhat cryptic, poetic message of consolation to his bereaved brother Aharon, who responds with absolute silence to his devastating loss. Moshe also tells him that he and his surviving sons, in keeping with their unique obligations as priests, must not engage in the normal mourning rituals, but that the entire nation of Israel would mourn for them. God addresses Aharon directly, some say as a reward for his stoic response to his son's violent demise, commanding him and all future priests serving at the altar to refrain from drinking wine or other intoxicants. There's a body of commentary that sees a clue to the offense of Nadav and Avihu in this prohibition. Wine is deemed an impediment to the priestly mission of distinguishing between the sacred and the profane, between the clean and the unclean, as well as the priestly duty of transmitting God's commandments to the Israelite community. After a brief set of instructions about the meal, wave, and sin offerings, the Parsha turns its attention to the Torah's fundamental description of the dietary laws. God tells Moshe and Aharon to teach the people about the animals that they are permitted to eat, detailing forbidden and permitted species among land animals, permitting split-hubed ruminants, fish, those with fins and scales are permitted, birds, no distinguishing physical characteristics are specified, though a lengthy list is provided, and winged swarmy things, insects. This discussion of allowed foods is followed by a companion prescription of ritual impurity and its transfer from forbidden, that is, impure or unclean animals, by means of physical contact or carrying. The Parsha concludes with a critical statement of the purpose of the ritual requirements that have been detailed. I, the Lord, am your God. You shall sanctify yourselves and be holy, for I am holy. The centrality of this message is reinforced by the fact that Parshat Shemini is identified as including the very center of the Torah. Specifically, the imperative infinitive wording darosh darash, customarily the last and first words of consecutive lines in 10:16, if you are counting by words. The Masoretic code on 10:16 is a studious play on words. Darosh darash ze chatzi haTorah. To investigate thoroughly, this is half the Torah. The Haftorah for this week is from the book of 2 Samuel, verses 6:1 to 7:17, beginning on page 1216 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 948 of the Hertz. Biblical stories commonly remind us that nothing in life is uncomplicated. Triumph is frequently mixed with tragedy and joy with animosity. Our Torah portion described the consecration of the tabernacle in the wilderness, culminating in the death of Aharon's 2 sons. Our Haftorah for this week tells of the transportation of the Ark of the Covenant as it was being taken to Jerusalem, also involving tragedy. This trek is marred by the tragic death of Uzzah, who for some undetermined reason is struck down while trying to save the Ark from falling off the cart on which it was being transported. When David finally accomplishes his mission and the Ark is brought to Jerusalem, he parades the Ark into the city with great fanfare, leading the tumultuous celebration himself with wild, ecstatic dancing before the assembled crowds. This frenzied dancing infuriated David's long-abandoned wife, Michal, daughter of Saul, David's predecessor. The Haftorah continues with accusations and counter-accusations between David and Michal about his lack of modesty and whether he or her father Saul had served God better. Through a play on words at the end, David's remarks are even more biting and mean. The valuable takeaway from both the biblical story and its midrashic recasting is that it is a false expectation that life, even religious life, will be without intrigues and complications. King David's life had its religious highs woven together with its interpersonal lows. It was certainly not flawless. All of us, even the supposedly most saintly, must try to make our way through life, hopefully avoiding its pitfalls as best we can. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, to hit the bell so you know when we post new content, and feel free to leave comments below. Shabbat Shalom.